been a couple weeks since I sanded that, so the good news is I got most of my fingertips back, which is nice. Well, it's been a few weeks since any of us have been out in the Montana garage. I haven't been out here, so I know you guys haven't been out here, but pretty much nothing's changed. I got my fisheyed Firewall here. I got the frame sitting there. I do not obviously have the body on the frame. I've been hemming and hawing and trying to decide, again, if I'm gonna live with this Firewall or not, and I keep going back and forth. Let's take a closer look at it. All right, so I opened the door. Oh, hey, look, there's the DDSS 57 Chevy. Been messing with that a little bit. We'll get to that later. But I opened the door because, and I should push the car forward further, but when the sunlight hits this thing, that's when it really looks bad. I'd convinced myself that I was gonna leave it. Then I came out here with the door open one day, and I don't know, there's just so much of that kind of stuff. And I don't know how much it shows up on the video here, but I convinced myself to leave it, but I haven't been able to convince myself to keep moving forward. And then I decided I'm gonna fix it, but I haven't been able to bring myself to actually, you know, attack it with the sandpaper, because once I do that, then I have to redo it. But I finally decided it's good enough, but every time I open the hood, I'm not gonna be happy with it. It's just, look, I don't know how much it shows on here, but with that light shining, looks like a freaking golf ball. Anyways, everybody keeps telling me it's good enough. It's not a show car. It's black. The engine's gonna cover it. You're gonna have other stuff, and you're not gonna see it, and blah, blah, blah. And you guys are all right, but I can't leave it. So I'm gonna go get some sandpaper. All right, got some 180 on a little sanding block here, flexible sanding block, so I can kind of get in some of these curves. Gonna be a lot of like hand sanding and finger sanding on all this stuff. Again, I'm not taking it back down to bare metal or nothing. I just gotta scuff it and sand deep enough to get rid of the fish eyes. You guys have already seen me do this twice now, so I'm not gonna show a whole bunch of it. We'll do some fast motion anyways, and we'll come back and report how it's going. How's that sound? All right, so this is what I've been avoiding, is once this moves on here, then I'm at the point of no return. I just hate to have to redo this, but you know what? Let's get her done. Now we're committed. I should probably get a dust mask on, I can tell that already. All right, maybe halfway done sanding the Firewall. Just going over it all with 180. Start with, there is a ton of hard spots. That's why I didn't really want to redo this, but we'll get there, 180, and then it looks like the, where to go? Purple Scotch-Brite kind of gets in and takes care of the stuff the sandpaper can't get, at least takes the shine off. So I'll probably go over the whole thing with the 180 and then just go over the whole thing with the Purple Scotch-Brite and call it good. So that's the progress so far. More sandy. Scotch-Brite time, baby. So there we are after a couple hours of sanding. I'm gonna call the SPI tech line tomorrow just to be sure. I think last time I went to 220, but I think he said it didn't matter, but it was a little different situation before because the epoxy was, when I redid it the second time, it was still in the recoat window, so I didn't really have to sand it. So I gotta make sure that I have it sanded with enough scratch that the new epoxy will bite to it, but not so much scratches that, I got black stuff all over my face. Not so much scratches that the epoxy won't cover it, because we're not, again, hopefully, unless I screwed up again, we're not gonna cover the epoxy. It's our finished product. So I might have to go to 220 or even more. But the tech sheets say 180, but that doesn't really address when you're leaving it as a top coat. So just to be sure, I'm gonna call the number tomorrow. One thing I did do different than I used to do before, and this may have caused some of my fisheye problems, is obviously you're sanding, you make a bunch of dust, and I usually would just grab my old air gun here and blow it off, but I'm not real good about draining my air tank and all that stuff. Now, when I'm spraying paint or spraying primer, I use a different air fitting. I drain all the lines. I got a filter on it and all that stuff, but usually I just grab the old blowgun and I blow the stuff off. So technically, I guess I could have been blowing, moisture and oily compressor crap, on the Firewall or on my panels before I paint it. So, I didn't have this problem the first time I did the same thing, and then the second time I did it and I had the problem. So I don't know if it worked or was a problem or not, but I learned this from Half Rod's YouTube channel. Check him out if you haven't. A lot of Tri-5 stuff. Super knowledgeable guy about Tri-5s and also about like automotive painting. I've learned a lot of stuff from him. But he suggested you could use a leaf blower. Either a leaf blower or put a filter on your blowgun. And I didn't have another filter, and I had a leaf blower laying here. I never thought really that would blow hard enough. I haven't used it very. My wife does all the leaf blowing, so I've never used it. But that thing works pretty good, except for it's a little harder to control. You end up blowing dust everywhere off the floor and everything instead of just pinpointing it. But it definitely blows the dust off, and it's nice dry air without any contaminants in it. So something to remember. All right, anyways, that's probably what we're gonna call it tonight. I actually have to work on the lawnmower now because, you know, stuff you gotta do. And I'll find out about the sanding scratches, and then hopefully in the next few days, we'll paint this again, or prime this again, and then finally put it on the frame, maybe. And I'm finally back. Do I look older? I probably do. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been out here. If I remember right, I think I was trying to build a car out here or something. I don't know. Let's spin around and take a peek and see where things are at. Man, making myself dizzy. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be facing the other way. So, this is where we're at. 55 is pushed way over in the corner. That hasn't moved in months or changed. That has been covered in plastic and hasn't moved or changed in months. Seems like a common theme around here. I did have, apparently had a bird move in out here, so we got bird shit on everything. He must have been trapped in here for a day or two before I found him. Got him out of here. But we're ready to get back to work on this 55. The Firewall, I left it as the last YouTube comments. They're still coming in even though I haven't been making videos. Thanks guys. Anyways, we left the Firewall. It's sanded and pretty much ready to spray, I think. We'll kind of check it over, but we're going to, first thing we got to do, I guess, is get some of our stuff out of the way, move the 55 back over, drop our paint booth walls back down. I thought about just doing without it, but it's a little cool and it's gonna be easier for me to keep it warm on this side. And then we'll mask off. Getting a late start as usual. I wanted to spray this today, but it's probably not gonna happen today, but I'm gonna get everything ready, and then tomorrow I can actually get this thing sprayed. Oh, and like I said before, you guys have seen most of this already. This is the second or third. This is the third time I'm spraying this Firewall, so there's not gonna be a whole lot of detail here. Does anybody else not know how to talk, or is it just me? There's not gonna be a whole lot of detail here. We're gonna fast forward, fast motion, kind of time lapse through this stuff. Hopefully we can get it done and move on to something new and exciting. Stay tuned, we'll see what happens. I don't know either. Anybody seen my tripod anywhere? Man. Aha! Got it, don't worry, crisis averted. Back on schedule. I was gonna roll the plastic for the paint booth down next, but once I do that, it gets kind of cramped in here. I'm not gonna get around to spraying tonight, I don't think. I got some other stuff I gotta do, but I am gonna be out here doing some other work, so I think I'll mask the Firewall off first, and then we'll decide if we're gonna roll the plastic down, try to get this done, or leave them up until I get some other stuff done where I'm not fighting with plastic walls, and we'll go from there. All right, I got most of the masking done. Stop the time lapse to talk about two different things here. The masking's done. I've done it a little different each time. I feel like I maybe didn't do it as well this time, but I did learn something that's gonna make a difference. So I'll show you that in a second. But the other thing I want to talk about is I want to show you something in the 57. A lot of people have been asking about this lately. Look down there in the corner, Mr. Moose. He was outside carousing, doing cat things, and he decided to come in the shop. And he, I don't know if he showed up on the time lapse there, but he crawled all over my face, and then he disappeared. So I did a little recon and found him hanging out here in the 57. So he doesn't want to apparently. Oh, I can hear him purring, so he's glad that we're talking about him, I think. Oh, he's coming to say hi. And so he acts like he doesn't want to be the star of the show today, but that's usually not him. You know, he likes to be the star of the show. So he's coming over to say hi, and then we'll get back to work. Little moose rubs on the camera tripod. All right, Moose, you gonna come out and help, or you going back to sleep? We're working out here. Anyways, it's up to you. We'll be over here. See you later, Moose. So back to the car. I've done this masking a little different each time, like I say, and this time maybe doesn't look as pretty. Hey, we're not really about pretty around here, you know that. Anyways, but what I learned while I was crawling under here to mask off this bottom, see, I've already see that I pulled it too far and I got to do some touch up. But what I noticed with my handy dandy Milwaukee light that you can get yourself on Amazon is that, and I knew I had trouble with this, but if you look up in these spots here, that's I couldn't get any primer on there. So one on each side, and then even up around this guy right here, just kind of like the bottom of this lip. So before I just had this masking paper hanging down kind of as a skirt to protect the overspray. So this time I tried to like shoot it up here and get it out of the way, because I'm actually gonna crawl down here with my paint gun and give a couple, you know, inside these brackets so I can get a little bit of primer up under. So that's why I taped it off a little different. So anyways, I guess that's the good thing about doing stuff 3 or 4 times, is you learn little tricks along the way. So hopefully that's going to be, you know, a little better. It'll be protected. Nobody can ever see under there unless you're, you know, under here where I just was. You're not going to see the back of them braces, but it will be nice to get a little epoxy up on them to protect them. So anyways, yeah, see, even though we have to do it 3 times, it's going to be better. It's all worth it. I meant to do it this way. Not really, but all right, back to work. All right, I got to take a little break. Got to run and grab dinner for the family. I'm thinking about trying to get this sprayed tonight. I mean, all I got to do now is drop down some plastic, mix some epoxy up, let it sit, wax and grease remover, drain the tank, drain the line. I mean, there's a little bit to do, but it's only like 8 o'clock. Time will tell. I bet the wife and the family are going to have me doing something else. That's okay too. But anyways, we're going to get this done tonight or tomorrow. I don't know what the dealio is here, so I'm looking over my freshly sanded, well, I sanded it like 2 weeks ago, my somewhat freshly sanded Firewall, and look at this little dark spot right there. I mean, it looks like something got, you know, to me, like something got spilled on it or some sort of something on it, but I didn't, it's just been sitting in here, so I don't know what that could be. So hopefully just the wax and grease remover is just going to do its job right there, and it's nothing that's going to cause a bunch more fish eyes and orange peel and all the crap that we're trying to fix from the last time. I think I said earlier that since this was my 3rd time doing this, I learned some tricks about the masking and I was getting better, but even though it's my 3rd time doing it, I still wasn't smart enough to tape off the holes from the inside before I taped my door shut. So once again, I'll be doing that again, but I bet I'll remember it if I have to do it a 4th time. I was kind of joking earlier, but I think I do look a little older. Dang it. All right, so next day we're back out here in the Montana garage. I did not get the Firewall sprayed last night. I ended the day with kind of using the leaf blower, blowing all the dust out of here and off of the car so it could kind of settle and I could get a lot of it out, and I'll do it again this morning, or at least blow off the car. But I got started a little bit. I have the paint booth walls down. I got the heat rolling. My furnace still isn't working right, but it cycles, but it's working. I mean, it works. It doesn't stay on how it's supposed to. But we're dang near at 80 degrees in here already. I've only had it on for maybe a half hour. It's still only 58 degrees on the metal. So I'm just gonna get it warm in the shop here, and then I can throw the electric heater under there or in the car, which I will have to undo masking paper once again to get that in there. But we'll make sure we got to stay 65 degrees. So I think I'm all ready to go, other than I got my air compressor all drained. So I got to make more air. And then I have to, first thing I'm going to do now is wax and grease remover. And then we'll get the primer mixed. And then we got to wait for this stuff to dry and the primer to, what's it called? I don't know. We're going to call it sit. There's a fancy word, but the primer has to do. And I'll try to figure it out later. And let's get this cleaned off and we'll get this sprayed finally. Induce. The primer has to induce. That's what it's called when it's sitting. So I'm trying to get ready to spray the wax and grease remover. I'm going to do it a little differently. Before I just wiped it on and tried to kind of wipe it off, but that could have been part of my failure too, is because you don't want to just wipe it in and then kind of wipe it around. You want to make sure you get it wiped off as best you can. So the recommendation is just spray it on and then with a series of dry rags wipe it off. So that's what we're going to do. And also the tech sheet says to use SPI waterborne wax and grease remover. SPI also has a solvent-based wax and grease remover. When I resprayed the firewall after the first screw up, SPI told me I could just use the solvent base. I'm not an expert, but I think it just dries faster. And I know for bare metal, they say that. But I've been looking in the forums and a lot of people are saying to use them both. Let's see, I think it's the waterborne and then do that one. They told me I could just do that one, so that's probably what I should do, but it means I had some failures, and that was the only time, that was really the only thing I did different last time when it failed, when I got all the fish eyes, because before I used that and then last time I used that. But I'm going to do both, I think, like the forum suggests. So I bought a couple spray bottles. We'll get some stuff sprayed on and wiped off, let it sit, and then we'll see what happens. All right, so I just blew everything off with my leaf blower, and I thought I was showing you guys that, but I didn't have the camera set right, so my bad. And then I wiped it all down with waterborne wax and grease remover, and that's this one. And again, I thought I was showing you that, but the camera wasn't on right. So now, we don't need to see it all anyways, but now I'm gonna use the solvent-based wax and grease remover, which I thought was kind of fun because the waterborne looks like a chemical, but the chemical stuff looks like water. Go figure. Anyways, I'll do this second round. I already did the waterborne stuff, sprayed it on, used a bunch of rags and wiped it off. We'll do the same thing with this solvent-based one, and then hopefully we're either screwing up or we're double good. We'll hope we're double good, and then we'll let it set for quite a while to make sure everything is dry it out of it. I guess I shouldn't say wax on, wax off, because I'm not waxing on. That's kind of how I did it last time, is wax on, wax off. Now it's spray on, wax off, or buff off. Here we go. The first round did take care of that little spot that I had there, and rag is pretty clean on this second wipe down already. Like, I'm not getting a bunch of, they turned kind of black the first time, you know, got all that residue off of there. Pretty tough to, you know, like, totally buff this stuff off, but I guess you're supposed to try to get it all dried off, wiped off, rather than letting it just dry on the panel. Easier said than done on these little nooks and crannies. We'll do the best we can, and we'll be back for some spraying. Mixing, spraying, something. Rag's barely picking anything up anymore. Probably should have gloves on while I'm doing this too. I'm just not touching it. But I can see where gloves would be probably the way to go. This thing's just do more. All right, I'm gonna call that good. I know it's probably better to like wipe and switch the rag, and it's just tough to do with all this stuff in the way, but rag kept coming out. Rag came out real clean. I mean, there's a little bit of stuff on there, but the rags were pretty black when I first started, so I think we got it pretty good. Now I think the secret, or one of the keys we got to do, is we got to make sure we let this sit so all that dries or evaporates or whatever. So I'm gonna go minimum of an hour. It's basically 1 o'clock, so we won't start spraying until at least 2 o'clock. It's 80 degrees in here, so it's probably dry faster than that, but I'm gonna get my air compressor set up and mix some primer. Okay, I think I'm ready to actually spray. So what have we done different, or what are we doing? What did I do to try to alleviate this fisheye problem? That I really don't know for sure what caused it, but I'm just trying to make sure everything is done how it's supposed to be. So first of all, I sanded all the fisheyes out. I used 2 different sets of wax and grease remover, waterborne and solvent based. It has been close to 2 hours. It's 3 o'clock now, so it's close to 2 hours that it's set, so everything should be plenty dry. It's 80 degrees in here. Firewall is heated up to, I just checked it, it's like over 65. The epoxy was mixed also over an hour ago, so it's been inducing. I remixed it, I just poured it in the gun. I had it sitting in here, so it is warm also. I have a new hose, my filter, show you guys. So I have one of these Bilbis Cam Air filters that has a new filter in it. That also was new last time I sprayed it when I had the failures. That's not really a change, but it says it's still good. I've drained all the air lines. I haven't sprayed any compressed air on the firewall. I used the leaf blower air. So I don't know, that's more than I did before when I didn't have any issues. So I think I'm ready to go get the gun and see what happens. So stand by.
I also put new filters in my little respirator. I know I should probably have something better. I also put a new filter on here, brand new, so that's new from before. I have a little bit of, I have a window cracked, and I have a fan blowing air out the back doggy door hole in the wall. So see if we can get a paint gun. Well, shoot, the first thing I'm going to do is spray those brackets. So I'm going to mess with the paint gun a little bit, but then I got to dial it down to a little circle so I can get under there and spray those. And then I'll have to come back out and get it how I want it. So let's see where it's at now. So air pressure is at 28, that's what the gun recommends. I don't know if that should be higher or lower. Seems decent right there, but like I said, I'm going to dial it down. Let's see which way does this go, probably back towards me. Alright, so now I got the little bow because I'm going to try to shoot into these things first. Alright, so obviously I should have done that at the end when my paint cup wasn't so full, but I got most of it. I'll probably crawl down at the end if I got more primer. Alright, I think we're good to go here. It looks shitty already. I don't know if that's showing up, but it looks not great. So, I don't know. Let me play with the gun a little. Alright, I adjusted the gun a little bit, and I went and poked the paper clip through this little vent hole just to be sure it wasn't plugged up. It actually looked like it was. Let's see what happens on this other side that's kind of buried. Same frickin' thing. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I could just already see texture and pinholes, fish eyes. I don't know if it's showing up on here, but it looks basically what I just sanded off. So I don't know if it's a gun thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what to do, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm not optimistic that this is going to work, but all I'm going to do, I'm just going to try to do, they say that you get problems if your first coat's too wet, so I'm going to try to put it on really light on the first coat. But I don't think that's really what's going on.
All right, I tried to spray light so it actually has like almost like dryish spots. So that's probably not ideal, but I mean, it looks like it's doing the same thing. Like, look at the little lip up there. It's just all full of fucking fish eyes. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But it's probably going to have to be good enough this time. I don't know how many times I feel like redoing this, so we'll keep chugging along. We'll let it set, put a couple more coats on, and then hope and pray that it's, I don't know, at least as good as it was last time. I should have just left it alone like everybody told me to do. But chances are it's probably going to be worse, and I'm going to do it again. It's been about 40 minutes since I sprayed the first coat. And just like before, if you stand back here and look at it, it looks fine. But That's crap there. This is the first place I tested. I mean, it's like as soon as the primer hit the freaking metal, it just spazzed out. So, whatever the problem was last time, it is also a problem this time. I should probably just stop, but I got paint in the gun, so, or primer, epoxy, whatever you want to call it. Junk. I'm sure it's me and not the product, but I guess I'm just going to do another coat or two. Cross my fingers, hope for the best, and then let it dry and sand it all back off, most likely. It's a never-ending cycle.
Even though I sprayed on the paper, it looks screwed up.
Well, we did indeed fail once again. I'll show you how bad it looks this time in a second, but trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And this is I don't know if air pressure, somebody out there can tell me if my air pressure is wrong at my gun. Is it gonna cause the problems I'm having? So I had this gauge on there, right? And I would adjust this until it got to 28 with the trigger pull. Now, the weird thing was, as I would turn this, the pressure would go up, say it'd go up to 40, but it would sound like there was less air coming out of the nozzle. Like the sound would get quieter, less air would come out, but the pressure would read higher there. I just thought it was weird that it was working like that. And this basically just has like an on-off valve in it. Like I can just keep spinning around. It's open, closed, open. But that's what I used before when it was working fine. So I have this other one that was on a different gun. And with this one, it just has the valve and I can dial it up and down until I get right to the 28. Audibly, it sounds like at 28 now, there's more air coming out of here than there was at 28 with this. I had just a little tiny bit of primer left that I had dumped out, but I dumped it in a container. So I dumped it back in the gun just so I can see a little test on the cardboard or some paper to see how it sprays and see if it seems like it sprays any different. So I only got about 2 squirts in here, so maybe it's not enough to even tell anything, but so it just sounds like there's more air coming out of it. So that's about 28. And that seems like it's spraying better. I don't know. So I think I was spraying with too little pressure based on how it sprays now with this gauge on it. So you paint experts out there, somebody tell me if too little pressure could be my problem. All right, I don't know, 45 minutes later, clean the gun, talked to my buddy from Tri-5 Mob that paints cars for some advice and moral support. He said I should not burn the car down. I'm not sure if I agree with him or not, but we'll see. So anyways, here's again, woo, look at that pretty firewall from back here. And there's my light. I don't even know if it really shows up on here, but there's like, I don't know, I'd almost call these ones craters in there. And I can't see it on the screen very good. Well, there you can kind of see, you know, where the light is. And it's everywhere. I mean, this is the worst spot. All of it just looks kind of like textured, like almost golf ball-ish, like I said before. And then there's, you know, bad stuff on this edge here. There's a couple good spots. Like if the whole thing looked like it looks right up here, I could live with that. So, I don't know, I'm not a painter, obviously. I think I've addressed all the issues that should have been causing this, you know, as far as contamination, the new airline, new arrows. If I, you know, turn my valve on there. There's no water in there. Got a brand new air hose. I got a brand new filter on the gun. I mean, I explained all the stuff I did. The only thing that I don't like, I got to messing with the pressure adjustment on the gun, and it was weird because I tried to set it at 28 because that's what the gun recommends. I think that's what a few of you guys had recommended. So I put it at 28, but then as I would kind of play with that to try to see if that was part of this issue, I would turn it, and as the pressure would go up, less air would actually come out of the gun. So I don't know if that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me. And then SPI says to not regulate the pressure at the wall, have this full bore, and then just regulate it at the gun. With that other pressure adjustment, I couldn't get it to 28 at the gun unless I turned it down over there. So I switched to that other pressure gauge that was on my Raptor liner gun, and now that one I can just dial right in. Anyways, so I can dial that up as high as it goes. I can dial the gun to 28, and when the gun's at 28 with the new pressure gauge on it, it seems like there's significant amount more air coming out of it. I did my little test squirt, and it just seemed like it was atomizing the air better. Now, if I was an experienced painter, I probably could have known, like, hey, as I'm spraying, it doesn't seem right. But I was just going, I got the gauge where it's supposed to be, and it wasn't just like barely coming out. So it was spraying. I mean, it seemed normal to me. But definitely with the new gauge, it seems like there's more air. It's like atomizing the paint better. So, and then I did read that low air pressure can cause fisheye. So I think I'm just piling too much paint on without it being like atomized. I could be completely wrong again, but hang in there with me because I'm gonna do this for a 4th time. I can't sand it yet. It's obviously wet, but dang it. But I'm gonna leave it masked up. I'm gonna leave my paint booth down. I gotta let it sit overnight. I have to look at the book. I think it says sand in 12 hours. I'll double check that, but regardless, it's, you know, Sunday night right now. I don't know what time it is. I got to work tomorrow, so it'll be Monday evening. I will scuff it again. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole thing. Obviously, I'll be within the recoat window again, but I have to sand out all the bad spots. Kind of like the second time I redid it. Just sand out the bad spots and then respray it. But you know, there's some really bad spots, and then a lot of it is kind of orange peely. So most of it's going to get sanded. I'm just not going to worry about all the little finger sanding edges and stuff. But hopefully tomorrow, resand, blow it off, wax and grease, tack rag, all that stuff. And we're going to try again with our new air pressure knowledge and hope and pray. And then this video can hopefully end on a high note with a nice glossy finished firewall. And if it ends like this again, this is going to be the last thing you hear about the firewall. I'm not going to keep making videos about respraying the firewall 35 times. I'm probably going to have a video of the nice finished product, and then I'll tell you the name of the guy that did it in case you need some help. And we're back right here in the Montana garage in my paint booth with my poorly painted firewall. I had to work a little late. I was hoping to just get here today, get this sanded and get it resprayed and get it done with. Not gonna happen, story of my life. I'm gonna start sanding on it. I may get that all done tonight. Hopefully I can get it all ready to go, and then we'll spray tomorrow after work. Stay tuned for 0 footage of me sanding the firewall. You don't need to see that again. I'll be back later with some sort of update when we're spraying, when we're done spraying. I don't know. Hopefully we can just get this over with eventually. Once again, it is the next day. I did not get the firewall all sanded. I'm gonna stick with my statement of not showing you any sanding footage because you've all seen that, like I said. But I am just popping back on here for a little update. I sanded yesterday. The tech sheet says you can sand after 12 hours, and I guess you can, and I did. But I actually quit because it was just gumming up my paper. Probably did more than I should have. I don't know if you guys, any of you guys that have sanded when it gums up your paper, then it just, you know, creates more sanding scratches and whatnot. So I decided to quit after just a little bit. So I'm back tonight. Hopefully I can I'm gonna sand again. Hopefully it is set up enough to where, you know, it will sand a little better tonight. We'll get her sanded up, and then probably can't spray it tomorrow night because I don't know if you guys know, I'm a big hockey fan, and the Colorado Avalanche are my team, and they are in the Stanley Cup Finals game 1 tomorrow night. So go Avs. Some things, you know, not necessarily more important than hot rods, but I'm probably gonna watch the game. And then we'll be back hopefully the next day to spray this bad boy. Friday, and I'm back in the Montana garage / paint booth because we're ready to spray some primer on this bad boy once again. I think hopefully it's gonna work this time. I'm excited, but I'm also prepared for the 4th round of disappointment. So we're about ready to find out what happens or what's gonna happen. One thing that's kind of nice is we finally have some summer weather, so I don't have to have any heat on, and holy cow, the firewall is at like 80 degrees. So we're good there. We'll have to heat this place up tonight because it won't stay warm enough overnight, I'm sure. Luckily, we didn't float away with the rest of Montana when everybody, Montana's had all this flooding in Yellowstone. I'm sure you guys have heard about that. So that was kind of crazy. We live like a quarter mile from the Gallatin River, which also got very high. But I guess we were just far enough away, so we're good. All right, I have to wax and grease remover, blow some dust off, mix some primer, all that stuff. We'll come back when we're spraying, or after we're spraying, or sometime. How's about we start with some nice clean, dry air to remove the last couple days worth of dust that have accumulated. Well, hello there, Mr. Leaf Blower. Let's see how this works today. At least it's quiet. All right, well, looks like I'll be touching up some masking as well. I guess now it's time for Operation Drain the Air Tank and all the low point drains I have. Got another drain over here. And a drain in this filter. No moisture in any of that stuff right now, it don't seem like. And I got one more back here.
A few test squirts, it seems like it's spraying better. Nope, same shit.
Strike 4, I guess. I don't know what the heck is going on. Again, I think I did everything I'm supposed to do. I thought the air pressure adjustment was gonna hopefully solve my problem, but as soon as I start spraying it on the panel here, it just goes crazy, like it's contaminated. I just got done wiping it down. Well, not just got done, it sat for over an hour. After I wiped it down with both the waterborne and the solvent-based wax and grease remover. I made some adjustments to my gun. I went out and sprayed on a box outside, and it sprayed funky out there, and then I came in here and made some more adjustments, and then it did the same thing on this side. So I don't have a clue what I'm doing wrong, or what. I mean, could it be that the product itself is bad? I'm not trying to say it's their problem or SPI's problem. It's probably my problem, but I didn't have any problems till I opened the new gallon of primer. This is all the stuff I sprayed before was a different batch of primer, a different gallon, and I didn't have any issues. And now since I started a new gallon of primer, I can't get it to not do that. So I don't know, I guess I'll call and talk to them about that. Again, I'm sure it's probably something I'm doing. At least I was smart enough this time to not spray the whole thing. So I stopped. I'm not gonna ruin the whole thing and have to spend a couple hours sanding it again. So anyways, I wanted to end this video on a win, but apparently I ended it with a fail. But I want to get the video out and appreciate you guys watching, following along. Hopefully I'll be back soon with an update on what's going on here. I got some stuff going on with the DD Speed Shop 57 Chevy out there. And I don't know, I'd like to put this car back on the frame, but I got to get this firewall painted first. And I don't know, maybe I'm just going to switch to a different product or something and see if that's the ticket. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and hopefully we'll be back real soon.